Hey guys, it's Saintvicious, and I'm going to be talking about the patch 4.6 patch notes. It's a pretty small patch because they have All-Stars coming up, and of course they want the game to be as balanced as possible around that. So I'm just going to go over it pretty quickly, and it's a lot of bug fixes and kind of like tweaks to champions that they had originally changed with reworks. So I'm just going to go over some of that. They fixed Aatrox's W bug, so I'm pretty sure he'll be available for All-Stars. I never really thought that the W bug was even that big of a deal. Like, I mean, you can win a lane off of it with an early exchange, but I don't know. I thought people made a little bit too big of a deal about it. It wasn't like, oh my god, like, the game is everything because of the W bug. So that's just whatever. It's a bug fix for Aatrox, so I'm pretty sure he'll be showing up again soon. Well, actually, on that note, since they changed the W bug on Aatrox, I think jungle Aatrox will be pretty beast. I heard people trying it out a little bit, and it seems pretty good. Let's see. And then they have Gragas, the W, the Drunken Rage. The Gragas movement speed is slowed while channeling. They removed that, so now you're not just going to be sitting there like creeping up to somebody while you're trying to charge your Drunken Rage and then get the auto attack off. So it'll give you a little bit more sticking power. I have no idea why it ever had a slow on it to begin with. It seemed kind of like a weird mechanic, but I'm glad they removed that. And then they made Body Slam where it's 12 seconds at all ranks rather than having to skill it. And it's a pretty big buff to the ability, not only because they lowered the earlier ranks and cooldowns on it, but because now instead of having to max Body Slam second, you can max Drunken Rage second. So that'll change the way his kit is used a little bit. I think Gragas probably is going to still need a little bit of tweaks, but these are definitely heading in the right direction, and I think he might actually be playable with these changes. I have to play around with him a little bit more and see, but I still think he's going to definitely need more love. We got Kassadin. Kassadin's movement speed is increased by 10. Whoop-de-doo-dah. His mana per level has been increased by around 40% though, which is pretty nice. Went from 45 to 70, which is really good for Kassadin's kit, of course, you know, since you're doing the rift walking and all that nonsense. And his Null Sphere, this is kind of like a weird change, and I'm not really sure how to feel about this because Null Sphere, just the whole sheer mechanic of it, it feels kind of weird. There's no other really ability like this in the game outside of Victor's Q, where you hit somebody and you get a shield for it. So they upped the max rank of it by 40, which is like whatever. It's like, okay, that's kind of cool. It's 40 more damage I can tank. But the weird thing for me is they increased the AP ratio on the shield by 0.5. So your average Kassadin is probably going to have around like 300 AP, I'm going to go ahead and assume. Probably like 200 at the points and it matters in the game. So you'll be able to block a pretty large amount of magic damage with this ability. So I think as far as being a duelist against mages, Kassadin's going to be pretty nice. Like, you'll be able to just tank more damage than they have. I'm not sure how good he's going to be though with that change though. Like, that's the big change of this. Like, yes, they did change Netherblade, the active damage. They increased the AP ratio on it by 0.1, and they also added 40 extra damage to it at max rank, but it's still not that much damage. I felt like the problem with Kassadin when they initially did the rework and before these changes was, yeah, you're Kassadin. You have one of the worst early games in the game. It is just atrocious. And then you don't really get anything out of it. Like, you didn't really have an amazing late game or amazing mid game. Now it's going to be like you have a slightly better mid game and a much better late game than you did before, but I'm not sure if it will be as good as like a lot of the champions that are being played in the meta right now, like Lulu, Ziggs, Soraka, Yasuo, Nidalee. Like, I think he's just going to be a little bit overshadowed by some of these champions. And on top of that, like, how are you going to get a laning phase with him? So I don't know. I think he needs a little bit more tweaks, but by buffing his numbers, it's definitely heading in the right direction. I hope they don't overbuff it though, because Kassadin is just like a broken piece of crap. He's like such a hard champion to scale because he has endless chase potential. Malachi, they basically fixed the fact that his Q for the longest time has not been slowing by the 8% at max rank. This is whatever. Nobody even plays Malachi anyways. He's just completely overshadowed by the other junglers right now. I would like to see them buff Malachi in a couple ways, but it's just not happening right now. Oh well. He's still one of my favorite champions, but this doesn't really do anything for him. And I don't really want to go into how they can fix Malachi right now because it's just like a huge list of things. Rengar, Q Savagery. Attack animation speed is increased by 40%, so that's just going to allow you to fluidly go into your next auto attack while you're moving around a little bit better. And then the bonus damage has been increased by 50 at max rank, which, I mean, that's not that much. 50 isn't that much. Yeah, 50 is like whatever. That's not really anything big. I mean, you can see it as like they basically gave it a 50% bonus damage increase, but 50% of a small number is really not that much. Maybe it'll give them enough damage to pop some squishies, though. Empowered Savagery, attack animation increase, speed increased by 40%, so same thing. You know, it's just the empowered version of Savagery. The bonus damage, though, has been changed. They tweaked it. They, like, gave it 10 at base rank and then 5 at max rank, which is, like, such an insignificant buff. So, still not that big a deal. This is the big deal though, is that Thrill the Hunt, the new stealth alert, now only appears if enemies would be able to see Rengar out of stealth. I'm not sure if this is intended for, like, if Rengar is in Fog of War, or he's out of vision areas where you have vision, or if it's meant to, actually no, I'm like 90% sure that's what it's for, is to make it to where you can't see Rengar out of Fog of War. Still don't think these are the changes Rengar needs. He's gonna need some tweaks, but I say he's pretty close to where he needs to be. Rengar is another hard champion to balance because he's an assassin, and because he has like very linear laning, because like just, you know, you used to go in and out of brushes, and just like you only have one method of playing, and that's by going all in. So he's a very tough champion to balance. Alright, Rubble Changes. I think these are probably the biggest changes of the patch, are the Rubble Changes. And on paper, like, you don't really see how much of a number difference you're going to be getting on Rumble. I did the math on it. The W, I think, is going to be adding 150 to 250 shield depending on how much AP you have. Usually with the normal Rumble build of Rylai's Leandries, it's going to be about 150 extra shield on the danger zone. And you're going to have an insane amount of movement speed, like 50% movement speed bonus. I like that. He's going to be able to get away and scrap very easily and kite very easily, so I like that. And then the Electro Harpoon damage, it's same thing. It's about 150. It's anywhere between 150 to 300 damage increase depending on your point in your build path. Because, you know, most Rumbles don't really build too much AP. Rumble is like a very weird champion when you balance him like this, just because he is a melee champion that can be tanky, that can kite other melee champions, and has like huge damage potential just because like his base values are so high, and he has pretty decent AP ratios, and his ultimate's just such a good tool. So I think these are really good changes to Rumble, and I actually think that you're going to be seeing him a lot more in the top lane with these changes. So I'm not sure what you play into him. I guess Rumble's always been pretty decent into Jax, and he's pretty good against Renekton as well, so I think he's going to fit into the meta pretty well. Twitch, this is just pretty much like they just brushed over his kit. Like, they didn't really do any game balance changes to him. It's just all model changes. And then, of course, they did the Wriggles Lantern change. They made it cost 150 more gold, and then it also takes 30 monsters as opposed to 25. And I really see these as solo queue nerfs. People will still get this item, but like, I personally don't like how they altered this item, because these are solo queue targeted changes. Wriggles Lantern is already kind of like hit or miss in competitive play, so I think this is going to kind of like push it a little bit more out of that area where it's being used, but I think it'll still be a relevant item. The reason why I don't like this as a change for it is because it just promotes you staying in the jungle even longer and farming it out even longer, which kind of like takes the team play element out of the game. I would have liked to have seen them maybe tone down the power of Wriggles itself, or maybe the power of Feral Flare itself. I think the healing that Feral Flare gives is too high. I wanted to see them hit that number a little bit, and they didn't really go with that. So, and then they changed heal. This is exactly the change that heal needed. Heal on its own is not like super broken. It's like a pretty good ability. It's nice. But when you stack heals, when you have 2 people in bot lane, or you have like a whole bunch of people on your team just getting multiple heals, that's when heal becomes really stupid. And the fact that it's 50% less effective when you have 2 heals will just make it less appealing to have in bot lane. I think what you're going to see is you're going to see heal exhaust. I think exhaust is actually a pretty broken ability, and that's probably going to be nerfed too. I think they need to take it down by maybe 10%. So I think you're going to be seeing heal exhaust on literally every single bot lane combo now. Exhaust is just too good when comboed with heal, because it makes it to where you can almost never burst somebody down, because you can hit them with the heal and you can just exhaust whoever's coming in to do damage on them. And all the other changes are just twisted tree line changes, which I don't really play, so I'm not going to really have an input on it. And then of course they have a bot change as well, so I don't play bot games either. Don't really have a comment on it. But anyways, that's the end of my patch rundown. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.